Viewers, thanks for tuning in. Sensex at 31,000. It's great news if you are a bull, and it's greater news if you hear comments or if you hear experienced people say that this may not be the end. Don't think that, oh, we've reached 31,000 and therefore we might now be nearing a top. One person who's been saying this for a really long time, every time I read his tweets, it comes with a hashtag of changing India. And the gentleman, ace investor Porinju Veliyath, in Bloomberg Quinn Studios as well. Porinju, thanks so much for joining in, and really good to have you. Your first time here?
Yes.
First time, okay. Very, very happy to have you on a day when the markets have done so well. Now, Porinju, that's the simple thing, right? I've heard n number of people of late say that we are trading at 18 times. The run-up has been very strong. We've rallied almost 17-18% in this current calendar year, YTD. Enough is enough, the market should correct. And every time I hear a lot of those voices, I then read your comments, and you seem to be believing that even if there is an iota of a correction, it will get bought into.
Yeah, but the corrections are going to be really very minor because of the structure of the market, what's happening in this country. I have been talking, market is not at the peak, rather market is at the bottom. If you are seeing the going forward, next 5-10 years, if you see, we are at the bottom of the Nifty by points. But more importantly, this market is giving, stock picking opportunity, which we have been always discussing.
Yes.
But people tend to underestimate things happening around the economy, the structural changes. So people get worried for small negative news or perceptions, happening. I think markets have a very long way to go. Investors cannot be bearish if they are rational.
Wow, cannot be bearish if they are rational. But interesting comment, you're saying that the next 10 years, if you look at it, we are probably trading at the bottom. You actually have a 10-year view on the markets currently.
A 10-year view is not an easy thing.
Of course, it is not, yeah.
Suppose now we are at around 9,500 Nifty. It once make a base at around 12,000 maybe after 2 years. So it can never come back to this kind of levels again unless there is a major catastrophe and a huge global economic slowdown affecting India also. But something like that is not envisaged at this point of time. And 10 years, you are right, it's a too long a period. But we can generally feel, you see, Neeraj, the base is that we are a $2 trillion economy. Our market cap is nearing $2 trillion. So where are we at this point of time? Fundamentally. And we are at the base only again.
Right, we are at the base right now.
We have to, and we need to, and we can only grow from here.
Of course.
So that is the big picture we have been always talking about.
Yes.
And investors understand this, but they can tend to forget when something negative happens.
Okay.
That is why that crisis happens.
So, an interesting thing, Porinju, that happened. We did a poll, about 20 odd people, or 25 odd people, market experts on 3 years of the Modi government completion. And one of the questions was, what do you think will do well over the next 6 to 12 months? Large caps, mid caps, small caps. Not a single respondent voted in favor of small caps. And I find that astounding because to my mind, India seems to be a story for the last many years, yes, but now even more so of a story of really well managed small cap companies which have the potential to become multi-bagger large cap ideas. Is that the right thinking, or you're also in favor of large caps?
Yeah, I have a small correction in what you
told. Small correction,
told.
Okay.
It's not going to be the time for well-managed small companies.
Okay.
The money is there, in badly managed small companies.
But which are changing.
They are going to create huge wealth.
Okay.
Then that is the real space, that pockets of opportunity, pocket of opportunity to make 5 times and 10 times money. If it's a well-managed company already, it is like a blue chip. It may not give you much, big money return. Whereas if it's little unethically managed, minority shareholders are not happy, we will be calling them chore management. Those kind of companies which are which when they turn around, and that is a season of turnaround in India right now. So that is why the slightly badly managed till now, historically badly managed companies which are in the...
How do you distinguish that the badly managed company will change, will become a good managed company, well-managed company? How do you identify that?
There will be symptoms. Now see, for example, a company which was, siphoning off money and they used to not they used to sell in cash without paying excise duty and taxes. So there are many companies have been doing, and that is why they are small companies. If they were not doing this in the past, they would have been already big companies.
Okay.
So those companies, some of them will be changing voluntarily because of the generation changes or whatever. And those who are still not changing, they will be forced to change in the new economic environment in this country.
Okay.
We are looking at reducing corruption, reducing black money, and from unorganized we are moving towards organized sector. So this everybody knows, everybody talks about that. My only point is that this is a huge development. You cannot just know it and ignore. This is something, this is the background using which you should invest in equities.
Okay.
So these small companies are going to be a lot of them, 5 and 10 baggers. Some of them will die.
Sure. Okay.
Some
so
of
it's
these
important
companies
to
are
pick
going
and choose.
So you have to, being choosy also is important.
Very choosy.
So what I am telling you, a small company with a relevant futuristic business, not managed well in the past, why should they remain bad?
Of course.
That's the question.
So
there is an environment for them to change.
Yeah.
And there is no incentive to remain bad.
That's true.
In the new economic, in the new changing India,
if at all there is a disincentive to remain bad, probably.
See the kind of income tax rates happening in this country, and see the news every day.
Yes.
This is what was required 5 years and 10 years ago. Instead, the rate of corruption, scams, everything was going up.
Yes.
So that has peaked out.
Okay.
3 years ago.
Right.
And we are going to see, already we are experiencing the decline at the top level in bureaucracy or in politics.
I think across the board.
Anybody will agree there is a significant decline in the corruption levels.
True. Okay.
Now that has to come down to the middle level and low. It will take time.
It will take time, but it will happen.
It will happen.
I just want to make a brief mention here. We have some more minutes with Porinju. If you are watching this right now and if you have any comments or questions, please send them ASAP. I'll try and include as many comments as I can in our conversation before Porinju Veliyath leaves the studio. Now, Porinju, one simple question. I want to start off our conversation about stock picking and otherwise with this question. All through the demonetization period, whenever I spoke to you, you mentioned that you believed demonetization was good for the country and it was good for the equity markets as well, if I'm not wrong. Now my question is 6 months or 7 months or 8 months into demonetization, 6 months to be precise, right? 7 months. What themes within the equity markets look ripe for making money due to demonetization? Is that game still on, or was that stock picking availability a few months ago?
Neeraj, the game has just begun.
Because of demonetization?
Demonetization and the related events.
When
I say why demonetization was done, this is to to get a control for the government to get a control over graft and this corruption and kind of things. Beyond permissible level of black money usage in the country for transactions. So that was the purpose. Once this is done, there is a lot of advantage for facilitating that anti-corruption movement, which I really appreciate. In fact, I had made a letter to investors on the next day. I remember 12th of November, the next day of demonetization.
Sure.
Talking about equal opportunity for every Indian.
Of course, yeah.
Till now, what we had, the bad people, criminals and the bad fanatics, they were all having an advantage of using black money and paying no tax.
Okay.
So, and the people who are honestly paying tax were at a disadvantage.
And now that is evening out.
Now it's evening out.
Right,
now
that's
what called equal opportunity for every Indian citizen. That is what is required. So we are moving towards that. So how this reflects in the stock market is your question. Am I right? Okay.
Yes. I have 5 more minutes, so I want to try and include as much stock market conversation as possible.
Yeah,
so what do you buy? How do you buy?
So why this is, I have been talking on many platforms. The listed companies, that's our subject.
Yes.
They are basically organized business. Even though some of those smaller companies, some of those, not very professional managements, family controlled businesses, not very ethically managed.
Yeah.
So those companies had many options, loopholes to remain bad.
Right.
Now they are getting blocked by the government.
Right. And because therefore,
and GST is the biggest thing, more than demonetization. GST is going to block such kind of, especially manufacturing companies.
So so Porinju, then what do you buy, right? My question is this: what do you buy? GST will lead to formalization. Demonetization is egging that formalization on. Where within the chore managements / unethical companies / badly managed companies do opportunities exist because of demonetization and because of GST?
So in fact, my personal portfolio, I'm a small
Only
guy.
what you can speak about.
Yeah, I have been buying only the so-called chore companies in the recent past.
Okay.
That doesn't mean every promoter is a bad in that, but chore is a widely used with a wider meaning, not just by the word meaning.
Right.
So I feel there are symptoms of change. There is urge from these promoters and management to change. Everybody is getting more ambitious in today's environment. Everybody want to create wealth by market capitalization rather than siphoning out money.
Right. So where?
So these promoters holding 40%, 50%, 60%. Some of them are holding 75%. So they also will be encouraged, motivated to do this kind of a wealth creation by market cap.
So what have you
So the
done?
minority shareholders are the biggest beneficiaries of listed companies.
I agree.
Okay, now coming to that, investors have to identify which sectors had the maximum of black money dealings, illegal dealings, tax avoidance.
What have you identified?
Oh, there are many. Recently, I bought 5% of a company personally.
Okay.
I think we discussed it personally some time back.
Okay.
A plywood company.
Okay. Are you at a liberty to speak about the name? If you are,
yeah, I think
I'm
it's
not
known.
forcing
It's
you.
known. I bought a company. I can't call them chore or anything. Not that way. But this is Sharda Plywood, a company I bought.
Okay.
It has a beautiful. It's a one of the oldest and biggest brand name in plywood.
Right.
Duro is the name for that company.
Okay.
And so now I bought it at 40-45 crores market cap recently.
Right.
This can be 1,000 crores, 2,000 crores company if properly managed. If I manage this company, I will make it 2,000 to 3,000 crores company in next 5 years time.
Okay.
From 40 crores.
Okay.
So that is the potential of the business. That is the potential of the operating environment for this business in India.
Right.
So it's amazing. There are so many hundreds of stories. Because these small companies, I don't want to give any names to the companies. Even Sharda Plywood has already moved up.
Right.
I am not asking anybody to go and buy it.
Yeah, I wanted to give that standard disclaimer, and I have some questions as well. But a standard disclaimer that any investor who is talking reserves the right to move out of his or her investment when he or she deems the opportunity to be fit. If you are indeed investing, please do it after your own thorough research. Do not buy or sell a stock simply because an expert, even if he's Porinju Veliyath, is saying so. That's a standard disclaimer, Porinju.
Thank you. Now, before that, again, the smaller companies, again, another disclaimer what I'm talking.
Sure.
You can't get foolproof all your calls right.
Right, of course.
It's only by miracle it can happen.
Yeah.
And even the smartest person will go wrong at least 20%. If you pick such 10 stocks, 2 of those companies will not be existing after 5 years.
Okay. Perfect. Well
so
said.
You should always provide for that. But that doesn't mean it's a risky game.
Of course.
It's risky only if somebody put all the money into 1 or 2 companies.
Right.
So when you go into smaller companies with this kind of potential to turn around by various aspects, make a basket of 8-10 stocks. And even if 2-3 of them perform, go multi-bagger 5-10 times, you make big money. That is a pocket of opportunity I am seeing in India for next 2-3 years.
I think this is great portfolio advice, Porinju. Thanks so much. Aside of stock picking, I think this is great portfolio advice. Now I have a few questions. Let's make it a rapid fire. We have 2 or 3 minutes left. Let's make it a rapid fire. No need to get into details. If you can answer, give me this answer. Somebody's asked about, few stock ideas at this levels. We don't want to get into that, Ajay Raj. Porinju can't give stock ideas right now. But if you hear the conversation, you'll be able to figure out. Porinju, there is a gentleman by the name of Karan Thakur who's asking if this is a good time to enter pharma. A quick thought here.
Yeah, I think it's now 15 more minutes.
No, we'll probably log off in the next 3 or 4.
To enter pharma is again a myth. See, what is pharma? Unless he has got $5-10 billion to be invested, I don't think investors should look for a sector in this country. India, every sector has got a relevance. There can be challenges at some point of time in various industries. Look at pharma. Last year, what happened in pharma? Pharma was down.
Yes.
I picked 2 pharma stocks in PMS, which is disclosed also. Biocon and Jubilant Life Science.
Right.
Both the stocks doubled in pharmaceuticals. So which pharma he is talking about is important.
You think these stocks
have the potential? There is nothing like a pharma in India. There are only companies.
Only companies.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't look at sectors.
So if there's somebody feels in, see, this explains it.
Right.
See, so the two stocks doubled, which the only two pharma stocks we picked in PMS.
Right. So in fact, if you see, one of the questions that has come in Porinju is from a guy called Rishabh Vinayaka. He's asking you for your views on Jubilant Life Science. You want to share your views?
I don't know. We sold off. We booked profit. It doubled in 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
For 5 months time after we bought last year.
Okay.
And I think it's near to all-time high.
Okay.
The price.
Okay.
So I don't find exciting. You know, I look at stocks only when there's an excitement.
Of course.
If somebody says this will go up by 20-30%, I'll prefer to keep my money in FD.
Okay. There's a gentleman called Kunal Shaw. He's given 2 or 3 questions, including something on blue chip funds. But the question that struck to me, Porinju, he's asking that besides small and mid caps, can a theme-based approach be taken in investment? For example, infrastructure. I know you're saying there's no such thing in the sector, but infrastructure is that exception?
Themes can be there as an infrastructure. I am still very, very bullish. So
from
see,
here
again,
on,
what happened? I don't know, Neeraj. We had a chat long back.
Yes,
in
I
my
remember.
farm.
I remember.
We talked about infrastructure.
Yes.
I talked about Simplex, and I talked a company called Pratibha Industries.
Yes.
The stock went down very badly, which I had even in public domain. I had mentioned about that there was a mistake where I expected a turnaround, but the later events was leading to breakdown of the company.
Right.
So this can happen. And J Kumar Infra.
Yes.
It has doubled in the last few months' time.
After
I think this kind of companies, there is going to be a huge order flow from government to private sector. These companies in infrastructure, various segments.
Okay.
Because the government is talking about lakhs of crores of investments and capex in each and every aspect of infrastructure,
Sure.
whether it's road or railway, whichever coming up. So I think there will be lack of bidders to execute these projects, and that is where you will have higher margins in infrastructure. I am extremely bullish on infrastructure as a sector for next 2-3 years.
Okay.
But stock picking is more important.
Of course.
Identifying a sector will not help you.
Okay.
As I told in pharma,
yes,
some stocks went down to half, some stock doubled.
Yeah, you should try and pick out the ones which will double. Sector agnostic.
That is 99% important.
Agreed.
Identifying the sector is only 1% important.
Okay, fair call. My last question to you, Porinju, on this forum. I've taken too much of your time, but one last question. I remember a conversation that we had at your farm. I know you saying that it's not important to identifying the sector is just 1%. But you had spoken about a number of themes then, and a lot of companies within those themes have done well. Sugar, infrastructure, there were a couple of others as well. What as a theme looks the most promising? Do the 1% of the work right now, let the viewers do the remaining 99%. That one top theme for you.
The theme, if you are asking me, I just want to say India is the theme, and within which turnaround companies. That is the real useful theme. Forget the theories and bookish kind of things. This is where you can mint money. Investors can mint money in the coming years. Where identify companies, it may be in the mid cap, small mid cap, or large small cap, or really small cap. Some of them, hundreds of them, are really turning around, and this opportunity will not be there more than next 1-2 years.
Okay, fair call. Porinju, thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us. And I know you stayed a day extra here, and you're going to your farm tomorrow. But we look for some photographs on the farm on social media from your end as well. Anyways, thanks, Porinju. Thank you so much. It was great having you. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in.